Facebook family, what's up? What's up? I hope everybody's having a great and prosperous Sunday. This is the Veterans by Veterans podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Michael Patterson. We also got another co-host, Ken Walton, and our special guest for today is future Senator Allen Ellison from the state of Florida. We're still working on the sound effects, Allen. So, hey, man, we want to thank you for, blessing us with your presence onto our podcast, man.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. I'm very honored to be here with you, too.
All right. So Allen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'll tell you, I grew up in Hardee County. I was born in Highlands. Both of those counties are in the centermost part of the state of Florida. I grew up the son of a preacher. My mother, she's a disabilities instructor. So I kind of grew up learning about what it means to be in service of others. I learned early on that each and every one of us, we have a gift, but not everyone's gift is the same. I learned that my gift is helping others. And so all of my life, I've been operating in my gift of helping people. But the thing is that I have always had a desire to maximize my gift. And so when I was in college, I was studying to be an education major. And I took an American government course, and the professor was talking about how to make social impact with policy and how to make social impact in government. And the way that he was teaching about social impact and social change made me change my major from education to political science. And so I ended up changing my major and transferring from South Florida Community College to Florida Southern College, where I ultimately got my degree in political science. And so, I ended up getting married and having a beautiful little girl. She's 10 now. She's going on 32. And I guess I'm a business owner here in Highlands County. I'm also a cosmetologist, so I teach about social impact and social change. I've been doing hair for some time now. And so the thing is that out of all the things and all the people that I've helped, I have been fortunate enough to find a career path where I could actually maximize my gift of helping people by writing policy, so that policy impact hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people with the same level of effort. In 2018, I came into the congressional race after the death of the Democratic nominee for the 17th district. Her name was April Freeman. She passed away 30 days before the election. And so when she passed away, the ballots were already printed up. So my name wasn't on the ballot, but I ended up winning the special election against 3 other contenders. That left 28 days to campaign for the general election against a 3-time state senator. And we ended up getting about 117,000 votes in 28 days, and my name wasn't on the ballot. So that really lit a fire under me to get back involved in the 2020 election. So in the 2020 election, we campaigned a great deal. We went into places where they hadn't seen a Democratic candidate at the federal level probably 25 years. We were very aggressive in where we were going because we wanted everyone to have a part in this election. Our campaign theme at the time was a new path forward, and we were trying to make people understood that there was a champion that was looking to represent their interests. And so we were speaking in as many as 6 churches every single Sunday. I was trying to get to at least 9, but I couldn't always make it. But we were going into the community. We were going into places where, like I said, they hadn't seen a politician at the federal level in quite some time. I believe that if we don't have people who understand what we're dealing with, the issues that really matter most to us, then we can't expect those individuals to look out for our interests. And so going into the rural parts of the of the district and the state is very important to me, because when you go, you get to communicate and hear and learn. And I learned so much about where people are. I know that each county has a different themed issue, and the more you learn about people, issues that affect them, then the better equipped you will be to be able to write policy and impact the world. So when COVID-19 hit, it stifled our campaign. Went to an all digital, trying to safe, socially distance ourselves from people, and it hurt us. It hurt Democratic candidates across the state, across the country. So this time around, running for the United States Senate, improving upon the successes that we had, as well as building onto the massive district that I just left, which was District 17. It's the largest congressional district in the state of Florida, covering 9 counties. The goal is to continue reaching people where they are, meeting with them face to face, understanding what their issues are. And this is one of the reasons why I'm here today. It's one of the reasons why I have a weekly town hall, is because I came to listen. I came to learn, so that when I am the United States Senator, I will be the most equipped to get the solutions to the people for the issues that matter most to them. I am a public servant, and I couldn't really think of a better career path to be than in the United States Congress, where I can help people on a massive scale. I'm a social change agent. That's what I'm looking to. That's who I am. It's the very thing that defines my existence in this world. So, again, thank you all for having me, and I'm glad to take any questions that you might.
Okay. Walton, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I think I'll go first. Normally Davis will go first. I start off with something more light and whatnot. How do you think with this pandemic, this country is going to get back to work, back on the right track, back to its norm or whatnot?
Well, I think it's going to take some time. At this point, with 350 million plus people, only 20% of the people have actually been completely vaccinated. And then we have this dynamic in this country where there's a lot of cultural, social, political division, where even when it comes to something as simple as a vaccine, there are people who feel as if it's a Democratic agenda to get vaccines for the purpose of being able to implant a chip. And there's so much misinformation, disinformation being disseminated that we have our work cut out for everyone is which is one of the things that actually helps to curb this pandemic. The other thing is making sure everyone is wearing a mask and washing. This is why I support education, because a lot of what I know about how viruses are transmitted is what I learned in biology in 7th grade. But if you remember, a lot of people are simply not interested in biology, chemistry, or any one of these educational platforms. And so we have a lot of people who simply do not understand how this works. The other thing is just being able to learn history in school. And when I was in school, I learned that over 100 years ago, during the Spanish pandemic flu, we were dealing with this same thing. And so ready to get back to work. They were ready to allow their lives to just get back to the norm, and the stress of it all forced people to come up with these arguments like wearing a mask was a violation of their civil liberties, and the Anti-Mask League was created. When the Anti-Mask League was created, their numbers and their support, it began to grow. And when it grew, so did the rate of infection of the Spanish pandemic flu. And it went into a second and ultimately a third phase, killing 750,000 people out of the 50 million people in America that it infected 50 million people out of the 500 million people that it infected worldwide. And it was based on this concept that we are seeing right now, and that is we have people who simply do not want to wear a mask. Vaccines didn't exist back then, but we have vaccines today. We don't have the same rate of deaths as the pandemic flu had, but if we don't work harder to safely socially distance ourselves, if we don't work harder to make sure that each and every one of us is wearing our mask and everyone is being vaccinated, then we could repeat history. And this didn't go away in a year. This took place over a couple of years. So it's possible that we could still be dealing with this almost a year from now.
Wow.
And here's the thing: the population size is much larger today than it was during the Spanish pandemic flu over 100 years ago.
Right.
We have science that we could lean on, have history that we could look at to determine what we can do and really what we should do. And so whenever I looked at how many people were just being vicarious with how they were operating, and I started coming up with these campaigns. So I started saying, you know what, wearing a mask is really the most patriotic thing that you can do during this because be a true patriot means that you're looking out for your countrymen. It means looking out for your neighbors. It means looking out for people in your community. And
exactly.
Right that you could do is to wear a mask so that you don't infect someone else.
Yeah.
I know people who feel like, well, I have a healthy immune system. It's not going to affect me. Well, that may there are a lot of people who will not be affected by the virus, but they could become a carrier and they can infect someone else.
That's asymptomatic.
Being a patriot campaign is so important, because if you really care about anyone other than yourself, then what goes along with that is wearing a mask. The other thing I want people to understand is that the mask protects the nose and the mouth from allowing the virus to get in, but also eyes are another way that viruses can get in the mucous membrane. So maybe wearing a face shield with the mask, goggles with the mask, that also helps. But also making sure that you are completely washing your hands. And a lot of people think about washing their hands, but we want people to understand why. Because when you're transacting business in stores, you're grabbing money. Money is one of the most the filthiest thing that you can.
Oh yeah.
This virus can stay on surfaces for up to 6 hours. So if someone had the virus, sneezed, got it on the money, and it transferred from hand to hand, finally get indoors, you can get the virus by touching money and not washing it, maybe getting a burger from Burger King and putting it in your mouth. The same thing. Well, we don't have a lot of payphones anymore, but payphones was another way people would train. So all of these modes of transmission that we really don't think about is why it's so important to follow, the CDC guidelines of washing hands for 20 minutes, wearing masks. And it's really sad to see people refusing to do the basic necessities of just really trying to, curb this viral pandemic. We have a war going on in this country, and it's a war between ignorance and intelligence, and are operating in ignorance, are waging war on those who are operating in intelligence. And I've never seen anything like this at this level. So we have to better educate our public so that people can be operating in the know. The other day I was attacked on Twitter by being woke. Like, when has anyone ever been attacked from being in the know of information? Like, really?
Right.
This is where we are now, where being knowledgeable or being woke is a bad thing. Like, so
yeah,
I think we got a ways to go before we're completely out of the the woods with this one.
Right. And so let me ask you this. So what do you say to the people who, because I hear a lot of people talk about, well, I'm not wearing my mask and I'm not doing what they want me to do because they're trying to force us into martial law. Well, what do you say to those people?
Well, no one's trying to force anyone into anything, but it boils down to what type of person are you? Are you one of those type of people that draw a circle around yourself? Are you one of those type of people that draw a circle around you and your family? Are you one of those type of people that draw a circle around you and your community, or a circle around you and your state, you and your nation, you and humanity? Whichever way you draw your circle is pretty much going to dictate, how your world is, your outlook, everything. People who draw around themselves, they're usually classified in negative terms. We've seen a president that we just had, the former guy. He was one of those type of people. He drew a circle around himself only. People who draw circles around other people are usually uplifted. And the sad reality is that when people pass on from this world, the people that show up to those funerals, it reflects how those people who passed on drew their circle. So the most patriotic thing that you could do is to wear a mask. And being patriotic has absolutely nothing to do with how many guns you have and how many flags you wear or fly. Right. It has something to do with how you are looking for someone other than self. And so we should hold everyone to that same standard of being a true patriot, being a true American, because being a true American means that you're looking out for other Americans. Being a true patriot, you're looking out for someone other than self. We're all countrymen, so let's look out for one another. That's what I say to those.
Wow, man, that day, listen, man, you own it, man. I'm talking about you hitting the nail right on the head with the hammer, man.
Right.
So now you gave us a history lesson, which is great. I love history, How do we go about teaching the masses about just the story that you just shared with us with the Spanish flu? How do we go about sharing that and getting the right information into their hands?
Well, I've already put out that story on Facebook and Twitter. On Twitter, I think I was able to do it inside of 140 characters. Facebook, I think I did it in maybe 280 characters. But we have to put out that information to let people know that the arguments that they're making today are not new arguments. These are 100-year-old arguments. And the fact of the matter is that we have history to prove that they were on the wrong side of history. And in order to not repeat it, then we have to operate based on the knowledge of how far we've come. Again, we didn't have vaccines 100 years ago for viruses like this. We didn't have vaccines. But guess what? You can simply Google the Spanish pandemic flu and masking, and you can see thousands of images where people were wearing masks 100 years ago as a way to slow the transmission of this virus. In fact, they had a mask mandate where if you didn't wear the mask, then you could face jail. We don't have that at the federal level today, but it may be possible or necessary to do it, especially with the rate of people that are dying. I just saw where a 13-year-old girl died the other day after being diagnosed with COVID-19 3 days prior. So people are still, and now I don't know if you saw over in India, but they're dying at such a massive rate that they're having mass burning burials. So they're like burning the bodies at these burial sites, like hundreds and by the thousands. And so things can trigger again. These viruses mutate, and they have mutated. They're called variants, which means they're actually stronger versions of the previous versions, more aggressive, more deadly, and people need to wake up. I know that under the previous administration, science was under attack, but the thing is, we can use science or we can use history. Common sense seems to not be so common, but there are
we talk.
There are a lot of different ways that we can approach this. And the thing about where I am as a candidate, campaigning is educating. It is one of the things that I do a lot on the campaign is to educate, because I believe that, a more educated voter makes for a stronger voter. But we all have our part to play to make sure that we are disseminating the right information. And I say this all the time. There is a lot of misinformation going out. But if we don't counter the misinformation with the proper information, then the misinformation will get locked into people's minds. And it's just like branding. It will just brand itself, embed itself deep inside of their thinking process, and people will start to operate in ignorance. And we don't want people to be in ignorance. We want people to be in the know. And so, again, we have history on our side. And if we go back even further than the Spanish pandemic flu, we can go back to the bubonic plague, where people were still trying to cover their faces with handkerchiefs to try to, slow the spread. But that they didn't have the same knowledge that we have today. And that pandemic ended up killing a third of the world's population. It took 200 years to replenish the Earth's population from what they lost. And so we just have to use, education, information, history, whatever we can, and in an attempt that we can influence at least one person, because that one person might be able to influence someone else, and it creates a domino effect. But one thing we should definitely not do, and that is not say anything, because I hear people all the time, you know what, I'm tired of trying to convince somebody of this. I'm tired of trying to convince somebody of that. But, we can't be weary. We have to stay vigilant, and we have to continue to be on our game in terms of making sure that people know, because you have people who are in ignorance that are operating stronger than the ones who have the information. And so, we just can't allow them to continue to spread that misinformation.
Right. You're definitely right about that. So let me ask you this here, Allen. So the guy that you're running against, or will be running against, he's been in office, 11, 12 years? He's gotten real comfortable. It's almost like a regular job to him. So what separates you from him?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. When he got into politics, it was right out of college. He's literally been in politics, elected official from day one. Whereas everyone else, including myself, we have had to work. We've had to be out here working on someone else's job, or we have been business owners in our own business. He has never owned a business. He has never worked for anyone. He has always been a politician. So that's number one. Number two, whenever he was at a town hall and at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas town hall event, the young man Cameron asked him a question. He said, if we are able to raise enough money for you where you don't have to take money from the NRA, would you not take money from the NRA and work towards gun legislation that could actually make us safer? And the right answer would be yes, because ultimately you are there to represent the people, not organizations. And so he said, I will take money from anyone who aligns with my agenda. I put a pin in that then, because as a political scientist, I have a problem with that statement. Fundamentally, I believe that as a representative, as a senator, your primary function, your primary job description is to represent the interests of the voters, the constituents, the people, not organizations, special interest groups, and all of these types of entities that he's representing. So that's a difference. It's a difference in fundamental belief system and ideology when it comes to politics. I believe that my responsibility is to the people, and I don't believe that I should have an agenda in going into office. I think the people's agenda is what should be at the forefront, and he believes that it's about his agenda and not the people. So those are two differences. Another thing is that I believe in working hard. In 11 years of being in the United States Senate, he has the worst jobs record. He has the worst voting record. He has missed work 60% of the time. And I don't know about you, but I know that whenever I have worked on jobs, if I had missed that kind of work, I would have been. I think most would be fired if they miss that kind of work. And so, I've been working hard my whole life, and I don't plan on stopping. I know if you see me on social media, you see that I'm up all times of night, all times of morning, trying to be as responsive to questions as possible. On Friday night at 7:00, I have what we call the Power Hour chat. And so for an hour, I will answer any question that anyone throws at me, hopefully answering in such a way where it gives them insight, education, and possibly some resources to help them what they're trying to do. But Marco doesn't answer questions. He doesn't respond. People send emails. Today, I saw someone got an email response from him 4 months later, and it had absolutely nothing to do with what they were reaching out for in the first place. So people are tired of that. People want someone that when they have a problem with a federal agency, they can reach out to that leader, and that leader can pick up the phone and get their problem solved. So I'm more responsive than him. The other thing is I'm not beholden to any special interest groups. I don't take PAC money. I'm definitely not one to grovel for anyone's endorsement. Like we just saw him groveling for Trump's endorsement a couple of weeks ago. There's so many different things that separate Marco Rubio from me. And the other thing is I just think that he doesn't really want the job. He doesn't want to do the work. He wants the perks. I remember him saying that being in the Senate was a waste of time. And he said that right after he lost to Donald Trump for the presidency. He was really, mad about that. So he was like, I thought he was just going to ride off into the sunset because he's tired of this and it's a waste of time for him. But he does still have aspirations for running for president. So I'm running to unseat him, but also to ruin his chances for trying to run for president.
Nice. Hey, man. Go ahead, Walt.
I was going to ask the senator. You're big in the church. I understand. Say that again.
I said I grew up in the church. I'm a piano player.
Yeah. I seen what you do for a go-kart, but I think that's pretty good. Your dad sounded like a really good man. And I wanted to know what you think, even though, in the U.S. we separate the church and the state, but how do you feel the pastors, because, the pastors was the big thing back in the day. They were at the schools, they were in the community, they come out from that pulpit and they got involved with what was going on. And a good example was the good doctor, Reverend Martin Luther King. How do you feel today in 2021, pastors can have a bigger and better effect on in politics because basically what it comes down to for me is right and wrong. As instead of blue and red, right and wrong. Mm-hmm. This ex-president of ours, Trump, got in there, and it gave me chills of some of the pastors that were supporting some of his ideology, some of that stuff. How do you feel pastors can get in there right now and help the U.S. get back on track, back in the path of religion?
Well, I have a dynamic viewpoint on this particular question. One is, I don't think that we have enough leaders across the board in this country like we did maybe 50 years ago. I think we have become so individualistic, so materialistic, that we have lost our way in both politics and in the faith. I think that we should have more people stepping up on the issue of right and wrong, and not based on what's expedient for their career, whether their career is in religion or whether their career is in politics. And that's one of the things that I am seeing a lot of, which is why I have chosen to go into politics, where I could make the biggest impact for the people, and do so much good, where I feel like religion has fallen short, as well as where leaders in politics or leaders in government have fallen short. Um, and so what it really boils down to is, how are we going to um, put pressure on leadership in the United States? And I believe that true leaders are the ones who inspire new leaders, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to inspire new, um, a new demographic of leaders who will not only go into politics but go into other fields and be able to make positive impact, make social change. I do go into churches and I do speak with leaders, but I'll tell you this: there are a lot of churches who don't allow me to come in because of political pressure, because of social pressure, for whatever reason. And I think it's sad because a lot of these churches have grips, or a great deal of influence over the direction in which people go in. And I'm saying that these people should go Democratic or Republican, but I do believe that um, faith is faith, and there are aspects of life that go outside faith, like policy, and people should be equipped and knowledgeable enough to know that policy plays a major role in certain aspects of our life where faith simply does not. So we kind of need the whole gamut working in the right way so that people can or have the best quality of life. Um, I used to hold a lot of seminars around just entrepreneurship. And so oftentimes there would be a collaboration between the churches and the business community to help inspire positive change in church membership so they can go out and start businesses and ultimately help improve the quality of life for their families. But also in politics, we can do the same thing. So these worlds, whether it's business, politics, faith, there are certain points where they can merge. And I'm always looking for those entry points where we can merge um, uh, these components, all for the purpose of being able to improve the quality of life. So I said all that to say this: I'm just trying to do my part, because I haven't been able to see a whole lot of what I would like to see in certain realms of our society. I think that um, I think that it has gotten worse. I think people have become more greedy. Uh, I've set up a lot of organizations as a corporate development specialist. I've set up a lot of church organizations on behalf of prospective pastors. And one of the things that I have found is that a lot of pastors that I have helped to set up their organizations were more interested in the base grant money than they were about the people. And so it's always disheartening whenever I see that. But then you have those people like my father who are all about um, making sure that the people have what they need. In fact, he's the only pastor that I know that doesn't actually take a salary from the church. He still works a full-time job, painting cars, nature. And so I've learned a great deal from my father about, like I said earlier, what it means to be in the service of others, because I believe pastors should be that way. I also believe that elected officials should be the service of others. And people like Marco Rubio and others, Rick Scott, Ron DeSantis, they are not in the service of others. They are in the service of Donald Trump, and are in the service of looking out for themselves.
Right.
The people are tired of it across the board. The people are tired of that. That's why we have. That's how we end Trump, because people thought that he was a career politician, and he wasn't. Turned out to be worse than any career politician we've ever had. But that's why they voted for Macron, who was an French president, because he wasn't a politician before. And we see this not only in this country, but we see it around the world, where people are tired of these fake leaders, these leaders who are only out to benefit themselves. The people want better, and I definitely want to be better. I don't want to be like any of these fake leaders. And so, talking about Dr. King, Dr. King is someone that I try to model this campaign after, in terms of his the way that he talks about inclusion. That's why our campaign theme is improving the quality of life for everyone, because we want everyone to be made whole. We want everyone to get what they need. I believe that a government, its constitution, is only as strong as the people that believe in it. And right now, the people do not have that much faith in religion. They don't have that much faith in leadership, in government, and they don't have faith in government. And so it's going to be a up-road battle to try and win the United States Senate. But I'm up for the challenge. That's why I'm going to go into all of the areas that I need to go into to let these people know that there is a champion that cares. There's a champion that wants to hear what's on your hearts and your minds. Because, again, when I learn what's bothering you, when I learn what's keeping you up at night, it's going to keep me up at night. But I'm going to work towards a solution so that we can both go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way that I think. That's who I am.
Okay. So let me ask you this right here. So we went through the pandemic, and what has happened with the pandemic is, what I'm hearing now is entrepreneurs saying, well, people don't want to go back to work because they're getting the cushy unemployment. And now I read some this morning on Yahoo Finance where companies are raising their wages to try to get employees to come back to work. What are your thoughts on that?
I think no one wants to work for a slave wage. I think that.
Say that. Hold on. Say that again. Say that again.
No one wants to work for a slave wage. People are tired of that. And it goes back to what I was saying. People have lost faith, not only in politics, but they have lost faith across the board. And now we are seeing businesses counter the argument that raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour hurts businesses. Well, if that was the case, then why are all of these businesses now starting to pay more than the minimum wage to get employees? Because they could. Thing is that once they get to a point where they are paying more than $15 minimum wage, then people are they're gonna take those jobs, and that's really where it should be. Here in Florida, what are people making? Less than $8 an hour, and the people wanted $15 an hour, but they put into the provisions where they will get it, but they will get it by the end of 2026. And then we have who are writing policy that make it where returning citizens can't partake in the $15 minimum wage. And I'm like, why is it that we have leaders in office that are writing policies that is taking us backwards and hurting people? I believe that all policies and all laws should help to improve society. It should move us forward. No policies and no laws should take us back. I think the whole argument of people would rather sit home and draw unemployment rather than going to work. I just don't believe that, especially with rent being too damn high. People can't live off of that unemployment so high. people would much rather be able to have a job where they can pay their bills and have a savings and possibly be able to create some investments. You're not going to get any of that on unemployment. I mean, you're getting the bare minimum. And then the other thing is you have Marco Rubio and Senator Rick Scott so happy that they're actually proposing and pushing for a bill to get rid of unemployment insurance federally. That is, they are not looking out for the people. That does not help. That hurts millions of Americans.
Right.
So that's another thing that separates the two of us. I look for right policies that help people. They're looking to write policies that hurt people.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask you this, future Senator Allen. Veterans, how or what's your plan to help veterans?
Well, thank you so much for that question. I've been waiting on that question since the beginning. But, let me tell you this story. There was a gentleman that came to me in my last campaign. An older gentleman, his 80s. He was a veteran himself from the Navy. He told me that he had a way to help veterans curb the rate of suicide between 18 to 22 veterans per day that are committing suicide. Some of them are committing suicide at VA hospitals in the parking lot. I know you've all heard those stories.
Yeah.
But he told me that he wanted me to be for veterans, especially when it came to curb the rate of veteran suicide. And when he told me, I was wondering why he was asking me to be the champion when I wasn't in office yet, because I would just automatically assume that there are a lot of veterans in Congress that would already be the champion. And so he told me that he took this proposal to 80 members of Congress. 40 of them were veterans themselves. And this proposal was simply to put safeguards and put measures in place so that whenever military soldiers were getting ready to get out of office, that there would be a way for them to be screened for PTSD, to make sure that they have a way and the resources that they need and the help they need so that they can be transitioned to civilian life. Because one of the things that we definitely don't want is for them to be leaving the military life, going into civilian life, underprepared, and committing suicide. And so this was something that, for me, was a no-brainer. But not a single member of Congress, including the veterans themselves, picked this measure up and tried to push it for it to become law to help our veterans. So when he told me that, I said, you know what? We have to build awareness on this issue. We have to build a coalition on this issue. And of course, I will be the champion for this issue. So one of the things that I did was I worked with this gentleman to help build the language necessary for this bill, but I also put together a petition to build the numbers of people that are in support of curbing veteran suicide. And I told him that when you go into Congress looking to get help on an issue, usually you're not going to get a whole lot of support if you go as an individual. But if you go as a strong coalition, you can leverage the weight of that coalition to get the things that you need to help our Americans, in particular, help our veterans. So I've been building this coalition on this particular issue because whenever I do go to the United States Senate, I want to be able to have the weight and the backing of not only our veterans, but also our military men and women, their families, and everyone who actually cares. I believe that it is our responsibility to look out for those who have fought for us. When we talk about our freedoms, when we talk about our rights, it was soldiers who made all of this possible for us to enjoy. And so whenever veterans get out of the military, we need to be helping them out, whether it's making sure that they have the financial resources, the housing resources, the mental health resources. We need to make sure that they have what they need because they have given the ultimate sacrifice. Again, I cut hair. I have clients who have lost limbs for this country. I have clients who continue to suffer from PTSD. And that same gentleman told me, he said, there was a guy that I was talking to when this pandemic hit. He said that he lost his business, and his business gave him a level of security, financial security, but it also gave him purpose. It gave him something to do. When he lost his business, he felt as if the only benefit that he could give his family was an insurance policy. And the elderly gentleman tried to talk him out of thinking like that, but he was big on taking his life so that his family can have the insurance policy. And so after the gentleman had talked him down from doing this, and he felt as if it had worked, the very next day, in less than 20 hours, the gentleman tried to commit suicide. And so, there are a lot of stressors that our military men and women have gone through, but COVID-19, losing loved ones here on the outside of the military, so much jobless claims and businesses having to close their doors are a lot of stressors that are having adverse veterans. And so whenever we have opportunities to improve their lives, whether it be through the CARES Act or the HEROES Act or the American Rescue Act, where the government steps in to provide some type of financial, it has been Marco Rubio and the Republicans that have been there to turn their back every single time, to vote no or to not be a vote at they have proven that they are anti-American. They have proven that they are anti-democratic. They have proven that they don't care really about the people. And so the things that I want to be able to do for our veterans is to make sure that their wait times whenever they visit VA clinics are down. I want to make sure that their access to clinics and hospitals are more pervasive, where they don't have to travel. Like my uncle's a veteran. Whenever he have to go to the hospital, I have to take him from Highlands County all the way over to St. Pete. So that is a drive. When there are so many hospitals in the area that he can go to, I want to make sure that our medical record systems are in place where between private and public providers, they can communicate and veterans can get the care that they need without having to travel so far. Years ago, there was a program with the SBA called the Patriot Express Loan, where veterans who want to start businesses and create jobs through those businesses could go through the SBA and get up to a $5 million loan with a 1% payback. That program went away. As senator, I want to make sure that program can come back because gain certain skills and certain knowledge that they could easily convert into a business opportunity, which could stimulate and will stimulate our local, state, and federal economy. But they need the resources that they need. And so when it comes to financial resources, I believe that we should give it to them. When it comes to healthcare, making it easier to access healthcare from anywhere, I think that we should give it to them. When it comes to making sure that their family life is secure, we owe that to veterans. When it comes to making sure that they are not feeling left out and wanting to commit suicide, then we owe that to them as well. And so from top to bottom, I want to be the champion that this veteran asked me to be. And that's why I push as much as I can on this issue. I try to raise as much awareness around the veteran suicide issue as I can, because what I have seen is that the rate of 18 to 22 veterans that are committing suicide a day is based on last year's numbers. Those numbers have actually increased under this pandemic. again, veterans come out here and they see their loved ones die of COVID, and then if they have businesses, the businesses are struggling. And then if they're on their jobs and get laid off because businesses are having to close their doors, it does not help. I think that some of the things that could help, if we had something like a universal basic income, where they call it UBI, or if we had its equivalent, a wage subsidy or something like that, that can help, provide some type of stability in our system, so that Americans can at least pay their bills and not have to deal with so much stress. America, a great deal of stress, and you can imagine if everybody's dealing with the stress, that's compounded stress, and so we have to take that into consideration. And we just don't have enough leaders in the United States Senate who is talking about these issues, who's working on these issues. And this is actually one of the reasons I am running for the United States Senate, is because with this microphone that I've been given, it allows me to talk about these issues and people listen. And so raising the awareness on issues that matter is something that's very important.
Wow, man. As veterans, we talk about, that a lot as far as like the healthcare system. I drive from the Naples area to Bay Pine. So that's about a 3-hour drive. Also to see my doctors and specialists and stuff like that. Walt, did you want to chime in on that?
I'm trying to figure out how y'all got to drive so far. Man,
it's the state of Florida, man.
Wow.
It's the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And they I would have to go to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, but that's a hike as well. So I went through that entire process a couple of years ago. And it is definitely a process. So let me ask you this right here, Allen, and we don't want to take your whole day, and this may be the last one if Walt don't have anything to chime in. This morning I was looking at CBS Morning News, and Ben Crump was on there, and he was talking about unarmed black men being killed by police. The question I have for you is, how do we get the All Lives Matter people and the Blue Lives Matter people to understand that when we're saying Black Lives Matter,
oh my God, man.
Like these are unarmed black men being shot and killed in broad day.
Right.
How do we get that over to them of what is actually happening and bring them out of their, I guess like their blinders? How do we get that, penetrate that into them?
Well, first of all, the All Lives Matter campaign to diminish the Black Lives Matter campaign, and the Blue Lives Matter campaign is a campaign to choose between Black people and law enforcement. This is going to take a comprehensive solution to bring this under control. But in short, what I do is, instead of saying Black Lives Matter, I say Black Lives Matter also, or Black Lives Matter too, because to people, they feel that when you say Black Lives Matter, they take it as Black lives are the only lives that matter. And what the campaign is really saying is that while we understand that all others' lives matter, Black lives matter too, because it's life that is constantly being disregarded in this country. And you can see it in real time, almost on any given day, that Black people in this country are given the doubt when everyone else is given the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So we have to let people understand that we are not asking for any special treatment. We're asking to be treated equally. So to say that Black Lives Matter is really saying that Black lives matter also.
Right.
So stop taking our lives at a disproportionate amount in which other people's lives are taken. The other thing is we need to make sure that we have a system, a set of laws in place to help with the rate of police brutality. One of those laws, Justice in Police, also known as the George Floyd Bill, this bill puts into place a system of accountability. It also makes where if law enforcement officers are committing acts of brutality and force that's like unnecessary force, then those acts go into a national database. So if they do something and get fired, it doesn't they won't be able to just go to the next county or go to the next state
Right.
and get a job doing the same thing. It also would remove their immunity. I believe that we have enough history on the books to show that there are law enforcement officers that abuse their power. So a person shouldn't get immunity over another human being. I think it should be your word against another human's word and not a Black person's word against a cop's word, because that leads to, again, what I said earlier, and that is one person getting the doubt and the other person getting the benefit. And,
Right.
and if we live in a just and equal society, then everyone should be seen as equal, and the facts should be able to stand on their own without looking first at color, whether it's blue or black. It shouldn't be about color. It should be about fact. The other thing is we need to have better screening of law enforcement officers, because I've seen many times where members of the KKK, Aryan Nation, white supremacists get law enforcement so that they take their aggression, their implicit bias out on African Americans. And the whole idea about some bad apples, I don't agree with the whole some bad apples. I think when it get right down to it, our society is built on the idea of this implicit bias. I think our society is built on racism. It is built on prejudice. It is built on all of these things that when people go to the workforce, they take all of that with them, which is no wonder why law enforcement officers come to the scene. They bring a level of force when it's people of color, African Americans, versus whenever they go into white. The level of force, the level of aggression is much higher. The guns are always going to be on their hands, are going to be on the gun. Sometimes the gun is going to be drawn, when really it should be about giving the person the benefit of the doubt, having a conversation first, not force first, and then trying to come up with some excuse on why. But also, entire society needs to, take a look deep within itself, because whenever you see law enforcement officers, handling Black people in the way that they do, I'm constantly hearing the rest of society saying, rationalizing that obviously the Black person must have done something to deserve that. Again, that goes back to what I was saying: getting the doubt rather than the benefit of the doubt. And it goes to the implicit bias that is in the hearts of a lot of Americans. This is the society that we live in. And here's the thing: every society will have a mechanism that will cause people to separate themselves and elevate themselves over other people. In Europe or England, they have classism. India, they have caste. Africa, they have tribalism. America, we have racism. We have race. People like to separate themselves based on race. But race is the one thing that you're born with. So if you're of a certain race and you are in the minority group, then you're always going to get the doubt rather than the benefit of the doubt. And it goes that way healthcare. It goes that way whenever African Americans go to banks to get home loans, car loans, whenever they face law enforcement. Black people in America are constantly being doubted and constantly being disregarded, marginalized, overlooked, and suppressed. And so you can't wonder why people who are African American approach life the way that they do, because it's obvious. It's obvious, yeah. So if someone try to label us as being angry, well, guess what? We have a history in this country of being brutally taken advantage of. We have a history in this country with constantly being overlooked, constantly being marginalized and disregarded and disrespected. Even now, we have voter suppression laws that are targeting communities of color in 43 states across this nation. And it is sad, because to take someone's right to vote away, American, it's unpatriotic, it's undemocratic. And it's just one of the worst things that you can do, because to not be able to express yourself, not be able to choose who you want to represent your interests, it causes people to become disengaged in the political process. And it's evident because in the state of Florida, we have nearly 100,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans. But in almost every county, the Republicans dominate the political landscape. And the reason being is because voter suppression. It's because of people feeling like their voices don't matter. It's because people feeling like their votes don't count. And the sad reality is that for a lot of us, they don't count because they're being suppressed. Also in the state of Florida, there are 1.4 million returning felons. Out of that number, I believe it's close to 50% of those felons, 1.4 million, are African American. 80% are Democrat, and that means that all of those votes have been suppressed by Jim Crow style Republican tactics that exists in this. And this is another reason that I'm running for the United States Senate, so that I can be one more vote, one more champion, one more voice to amplify all of those voices, amplify all of those votes of people that have felt victimized, marginalized, overlooked, disregarded, and disrespected. These people, these citizens, these Floridians, they need a vote. They need a voice, and I'm planning to give them their voice back, running for this office, winning this office, and flipping this seat. Because I mean, it's been past time. When I do this, I will be the first African American United States senator in Florida's history, and out of 200 years of having a United States, there have only been 12 African Americans. There are 35 million African Americans in this country. We don't have representation in the United States. Neither does Hispanics, various other ethnic groups. So at least I am looking at all of those individuals who don't have representation. It's one of the very reasons we went to war with Great Britain, because taxation without representation.
Right.
So that's my story. I'm sticking to it, and I'm out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Allen, I think we're gonna close on that one there, man. That's the
grand finale there.
That's right. That's the grand finale. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So hey, Allen, let everybody know, man, where they can find you at. I'm gonna post your website up, and just let the people know where they can find you at.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to speak with you about these important issues. If people who are listening to this broadcast are interested in working with our team, we are building a movement. We have built 1,000 volunteers in 5 months. And we are the most diverse campaign in this country. We have volunteers from all over this country, literally every single state. And people believe in what we're talking about. People believe in the vision that we have. And if you're one of those people, connect with us on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Of course, you can join the campaign at allenellison.com. We can't do this without you, nor do I believe that I can. I believe that it's going to take all of us to get this done. We believe that together we are stronger. I believe in building bridges because walls divide us. There's only one thing that you can see that's man-made from the moon. It's the Great Wall of China. It took 100 years to build it, and when it was complete, they found out that it didn't work. And so we want to be in the business of building bridges. Out of 55,000 laws that are attached to 55,000 different issues, those issues are affecting millions of people, and I believe that we have more in common than not. It doesn't matter to me whether you're a Democrat, independent, or Republican. When I'm the United States Senator, I will work for you. I will work to improve the quality of your life. So please join our campaign, make a contribution. Your contributions help us to reach further, and we need to reach further in order to get to the masses in this election. Again, thank you all very much. I look forward to working with you all, and you all have a wonderful day.
All right, man. Good luck
all
to you.
Right. All right, Allen. We're going to chuck the deuces at everybody, man. We'll see y'all next Sunday.
All right, though.